Will my armor stop us? I'll remove it. Runaway alien woman's request. Captain Jerk stood at the bridge, arms crossed, eyes scanning the faint blips appearing on the long-range sensors. Most of the signals were normal, passing asteroids, distant star systems, but one blip made his heart skip a beat. Captain, Ensign Lyra said, pointing at the screen, we're detecting an escape pod. No life signs yet, but it's drifting fast. It doesn't match any known human or allied design. Jerk leaned forward, curiosity and caution mixing in equal measure. Send a remote scan. Let's see what we're dealing with before we make a decision. The scan results came back almost immediately. Jerk's brow furrowed. Life signs, but masked. The pod's occupant is sealed inside some kind of armor or containment suit. Energy readings are low. Whatever this is, it's alive, but it's barely holding on. Should we bring it aboard? Lyra asked quietly. Jerk's eyes softened for a moment. Humanity had always been known for two things, ingenuity and compassion. That compassion often set humans apart from other species in the galaxy. He made his decision. Prepare the airlock, he said. We're bringing it aboard, but caution first. Don't open the pod until we're ready to contain or help whoever is inside. The Orion's reach moved closer to the pod, its robotic arms ready to secure it. The pod's hull was scratched and dented, evidence of a rough journey. Jerk watched as the airlock prepared for docking. Inside the bridge, the crew held their breath. Finally, the pod was secured. The containment field glowed faintly, holding the armored figure in place. Jerk activated the external scanners. The figure inside was humanoid in shape but unfamiliar. The armor was sleek yet rugged, covering every inch of the body. It had intricate lines that glimmered faintly as if the material itself was alive. Captain, Lyra whispered, this isn't just armor, it looks cultural, symbolic, military maybe, but also personal. Whoever this is, they didn't just put on armor for protection. It means something, Jerk nodded. Let's proceed carefully, open the pod slowly, and keep the medical team ready. The hatch hissed as it opened, revealing the armored figure. The inside of the pod was dimly lit. The occupant shifted slightly, as if aware of being watched. Then with a metallic hiss and a series of clicks, the armor moved, small panels sliding to allow limited mobility, but the figure remained fully sealed. A voice came from inside the suit. It was distorted yet calm. Do not scan me, do not restrain me. Promise me this or I will not cooperate. Jerk exchanged glances with his officers. The rules were clear. They could not allow unknown lifeforms to roam freely. But there was something in the tone, fear, yes, but also trust, waiting to be earned. Understood, Jerk said slowly. We promise not to restrain you. We want to help. That is our mission. There was a pause. Then the figure relaxed slightly. The mechanical hum of the suit slowed. The medical team approached carefully. Dr. Melly, the ship's chief physician, held a scanner in her hand. We can check vital signs without invasive measures, she said. It's the safest way. The armored stranger tilted their head slightly, a gesture of cautious acceptance. Non-invasive only, they said. Nothing that pierces my armor. I cannot allow full access. Jerk nodded. Non-invasive, you have my word. The scanner passed over the armor. The readings were unusual. Heartbeat was slow but steady. Life signs were weak, likely due to stress and the long journey. Energy output from the suit was minimal, almost exhausted. Captain, Doctor. Melly said they're alive but in critical condition. If we do not remove them from the pod and stabilize them, they may not last long. Jerk made his decision. Prepare the transport. Slowly and carefully bring them into the med bay. No sudden movements. Keep the containment protocols ready just in case. The pod opened fully and the figure stepped out, or rather was lifted by the medical team. Their movements were precise, cautious, like a predator trying not to reveal weakness. Even in the sealed armor, there was elegance and strength. Jerk studied the stranger as they were carried. Their head moved, observing the humans. Their eyes, visible only through a narrow visor, shone with intelligence and alertness. This was not a frightened alien. This was someone who had endured much and survived. Once inside the med bay, the team began stabilizing the figure. Oxygen levels, temperature, and suit integrity were monitored. The stranger finally spoke again, voice softer now. My name is Leora, they said. I am running. My people, they will come for me. The words hung heavy in the air. Captain Jerk's mind raced. A runaway alien seeking help from humans, this could mean trouble, or it could be an opportunity to do something truly heroic. You're safe here, Jerk said firmly. We do not harm those who ask for help, but we need to understand why your people are after you. Leora's visor lowered slightly, as if considering trust. If I remove my armor, will you still protect me? The question stunned the room. The armor had been her shield, her identity, her prison perhaps. Removing it meant vulnerability, but Jerk saw the courage in her tone. We will protect you, he said without hesitation. No matter what you choose. There was a long silence. Then slowly, Leora began to open the suit's outer layers. Small panels moved aside, revealing glimpses of her body beneath. She was not fragile, but she was vulnerable in ways the armor had hidden. Her skin was pale with faint markings, symbols of her culture. Her hands were delicate yet strong. She looked around the room, taking in the humans who had risked everything to help her. Dr. Melly whispered, "She trusts us, but barely. One wrong move and it could all fall apart." Jerk nodded. "That's why we must be careful. Respect her boundaries, respect her choices. Humanity is strong, but compassion is stronger." As the last layers of armor clicked open, the crew could see Leora fully for the first time. Her eyes, bright and intelligent, scanned the room, measuring every human. And then she did something unexpected. She smiled just slightly, a tiny sign of relief and hope. That relief was short-lived. The long-range sensors on the ship suddenly flared. Multiple blips appeared, fast-moving, closing in. Jerk leaned forward, heart-pounding. "Captain," Lyra said, her voice tense, "these are not ordinary ships. They are from her people." Leora froze. The faint color in her face disappeared. They will not negotiate," she said quietly. "If they find me here, they will destroy everything to take me back." Jerk's hands clenched on the console. The humans had a choice: obey protocol and retreat, or stand firm and protect a life that was not theirs by law but by morality. "Everyone," Jerk said, voice calm but strong, "prepare for possible engagement, but we will not attack first. Our mission is protection. That is what defines us. That is what makes us human." Leora looked at him, eyes wide. For the first time, she felt something she had not felt in years: hope. The stars outside glimmered like diamonds, innocent and distant. Inside the Orion's reach, tension built like a coiled spring. Humanity was about to show its true strength, not through weapons, but through courage, compassion, and unbreakable principle. Leora took a deep breath. "Then I will trust you," she whispered. Jerk nodded. "Then let's get ready to show them what humans can do." And with that, the human crew began to prepare. The first contact had been made, and the real test of trust, courage, and humanity was only beginning. The Orion's reach drifted silently through the black void of space. Stars glittered like distant fires, indifferent to the tension aboard the ship. In the med bay, Leora sat quietly, still partially armored but loosening her grip on the last seals. She was fragile in appearance, but her presence radiated strength and purpose. Captain Jerk walked slowly toward her, hands clasped behind his back. "You don't have to do anything you're not ready for," he said gently. "The armor protects you, yes, but it also hides who you are. You decide what comes next." Leora's eyes studied him carefully. "This armor, it is not only protection," she said. Her voice, softer than before, carried a hint of sorrow. "It is a symbol. My people, my government made it. To wear it is to obey them. To remove it is to reject them. I cannot be safe if it is gone." Ensign Lyra leaned against the wall, watching silently. "So it's both prison and shield," she said. "It hides her body, but it hides her too. It's control disguised as safety." Leora nodded. "Exactly. If I take it off, they will see me as a traitor. They will hunt me relentlessly, and they will not care about anyone in my way. They will destroy." Captain Jerk's brow furrowed. "We will protect you," he said firmly. "We do not abandon those who choose freedom. That is what makes us human. And we will show it even if it is dangerous." The med bay was quiet for a long moment. Leora's armored hands trembled slightly as she began to release the final clasps. The room seemed to hold its breath. When the last panel slid away, she stepped out fully. The humans gasped softly. Leora was humanoid, tall and slender, with pale blue skin marked by faint streaks of silvery patterns. Her culture's insignia, perhaps, or personal tattoos of significance. Her eyes, large and bright, shone with intelligence and determination. "You see," she asked softly, "I am fragile, but I am still myself, still me. Can you keep me safe?" Dr. Melly stepped forward, placing a reassuring hand near her shoulder. "We can, but it is not just about physical safety. It is about choice. You decide and we will follow." Leora's gaze swept across the room. The humans were not asking questions about allegiance, origin, or power. They were offering respect and protection. For the first time in years, she felt the tiniest spark of hope, but hope was short-lived. The long-range sensors blared suddenly. Jerk's chair jolted as alarms filled the bridge. "They're here," Lyra said, her voice tight. "Multiple ships closing fast. They are from her people, Captain, combat-ready vessels." Jerk nodded, tension rising. "All stations prepare for possible engagement. Shields up. Weapons ready, but do not fire unless fired upon. Protect the med bay first. That's where she is." Leora froze at the words. They will not negotiate," she whispered. "If they find me, they will take me back by force, and anyone who stands in their way will be destroyed." The human crew exchanged nervous glances. Many had never faced such a moral dilemma, protecting a life that was not theirs, knowing that doing so could provoke a war. But Jerk's voice cut through the tension, calm and steady. "We are humans," he said. "We do not harm the innocent. We do not surrender those who ask for freedom. We will protect her. That is our mission." Leora looked up at him, eyes wide with disbelief. You would risk yourselves for me, even knowing what they might do," Jerk nodded. "Because the right choice is not always the safe choice. That is what makes humans strong. That is what makes us worth protecting." The alien ships appeared on the main screen, vast and sleek, moving in perfect formation. Their weapons glimmered faintly in the starlight. Leora's hands instinctively clenched at her sides, though she did not speak. "Captain," Ensign Lyra said, voice tense, "they're hailing us." "Visual transmission only. No words yet." The screen flickered, revealing a massive alien vessel, shaped like a crescent moon with jagged spires along its hull. A single figure appeared in the central viewport, tall, regal, wearing armor similar to Leora's but far more elaborate. Their eyes glowed faintly, conveying both authority and anger. "This is Admiral Kress of the Thaler Dominion," the figure said in a voice that resonated across the ship. "You have harbored a fugitive. Surrender her immediately or face consequences." Jerk leaned forward, jaw tight. "She is not a fugitive. She is a free individual. We will not surrender her. You must leave." A low hum of tension filled the bridge. The alien admiral's expression did not change. "You overestimate your power. She is property." "You have no right to defy us. Leave now or you will regret it." Leora's voice, calm but firm, interrupted. "I am not property. I never was, and I refuse to return." Jerk's heart swelled with pride. This alien, fragile yet strong, was making her own choice, defying the system that had enslaved her. Humanity was not just protecting her body, they were protecting her spirit. In the med bay, the humans prepared for the worst. Shields around the ship were reinforced and escape pods were readied. Dr. Melly and the medical team checked Leora's vital signs constantly. She looked around at the crew. "Why are you helping me?" she asked softly. "Even when it is dangerous, even when your lives are at risk." Captain Jerk smiled, though the stress weighed heavily on him. "Because it is the right thing to do. Freedom is not a gift from rulers or governments. It is a principle, and humans understand it. Protecting someone who asks for freedom, that is the essence of what makes us human." Leora's eyes filled with something she had not felt in years: trust. She lowered herself onto the med bay bench, letting the humans care for her without fear. Outside the ship, the alien fleet had begun maneuvers, circling like predators around a wounded prey. But inside, something different was happening. Humans were showing a form of strength the Thaler Dominion had never encountered: moral courage. They did not fight with weapons yet. They fought with principles, with integrity, and with unwavering compassion. The hours passed slowly. The alien ships did not attack immediately. Instead, they observed, perhaps puzzled by the humans' refusal to submit. Leora sat quietly with Jerk nearby, watching the stars outside the viewport. "I have never seen such courage," she said softly. "Most who defy my people are hunted immediately. They do not wait. They do not hesitate. You are different." Jerk shrugged lightly. "We are not perfect, but we believe in choice. We believe in protecting those who ask for it. That is what makes humans human." Leora's lips curved in a small smile. "Then I am lucky," she whispered, "to have found you." As the first part of the encounter settled, a new voice came through the comms, Ensign Lyra, eyes wide. "Captain, sensors are picking up a second fleet approaching. These are smaller, faster ships. They look like interceptors. They're closing in quickly." Jerk's jaw tightened. "Then we prepare for defense, but we will not strike first. Leora stays safe. That is our priority." Leora stood suddenly, determination in her stance. "I will help," she said. "Not as a weapon, but in other ways. I know my people's strategies. I can give you knowledge that might keep us safe." Jarek nodded, a mixture of relief and admiration washing over him. Then let's work together. You share what you can, we will protect you, and we will show them that compassion is stronger than fear. Leora looked down at the armor she had removed. For the first time, she did not feel the weight of her past. She felt the weight of choice, her choice, human choice, and the chance to begin anew. Outside, the alien fleets moved closer, unaware that their target had not only found allies but had awakened a force they had never expected. The Orion's Reach was not the strongest ship in the galaxy. It did not carry the most weapons. But inside it carried something far greater, the unshakable resolve of humans and the hope of a life finally free. Leora smiled faintly, looking at the humans around her. "Then, let them come," she said softly. And with that, the battle of principles and trust was about to begin. The Orion's Reach hummed softly as it glided through space, though tension crackled through the ship like static electricity. Captain Jarek stood at the bridge, eyes fixed on the main screen where dozens of alien ships from the Thaler Dominion closed in. Their formation was precise, efficient, every ship a weapon designed for speed and intimidation. Leora stood behind him, hands folded calmly. Though her armor lay behind her in the med bay, she radiated quiet confidence. Her people were approaching, but she knew their tactics, their likely maneuvers, and their expectations. They assumed fear. They assumed compliance. "They think humans will surrender me," she said softly, her voice almost a whisper, yet clear enough for Jarek to hear. "They are wrong." Jarek nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "Then we show them that humans are different. We will protect you no matter the cost, but we do not attack first. That is our strength." The alien fleet appeared larger now, each ship reflecting the dim light of nearby stars. The main vessel loomed in the distance, its central spire glowing faintly with energy. Through the comms, Admiral Kress's voice rang again, calm but commanding. "You harbor a traitor," he said. "Return her immediately or we will take her by force. Your species will not survive defiance." Jarek's jaw tightened. "She is not a traitor, she is free. We will not hand her over." A pause. The Admiral's glowing eyes seemed to pierce through the very screen. "Then you will regret it." On the bridge, the crew moved with precise coordination. Shields were raised, emergency protocols were ready, and every weapon system was on standby. Yet despite the preparations, tension remained. Humans had never faced a force quite like this, organized, ruthless, and relentless. Leora stepped closer to the tactical console, her fingers brushing against the controls. "I know their strategies," she said. "I can help, not with weapons, but with information. I know their formation patterns, their likely moves. I can guide you to avoid the traps they will try." Captain Jarek regarded her thoughtfully. "You want to help, you could be a target if they see you on the bridge." "I know the risk," she replied, her voice steady. "But I am already a target. Hiding me won't help." "We must use what we have. Knowledge is our weapon." Jarek nodded. "Then you will guide us, everyone else follow her instructions, trust her, and trust each other." The first wave of alien interceptors darted forward like silver shadows, weaving between the stars with incredible speed. They probed the ship's shields, testing weaknesses. The human crew worked quickly, adjusting the shield alignment, maneuvering the ship carefully based on Leora's guidance. "Starboard flank, move slightly upward," Leora commanded. "They expect a straight line, take them off guard." The human pilots executed her directions with precision. The interceptors, momentarily confused, hesitated in formation. That hesitation was all the advantage the humans needed. For the first time, the crew realized that their small, lightly armed ship could survive, not by firepower, but by intelligence, coordination, and courage. Ensign Lyra turned to Jarek, eyes wide with awe. "She's incredible. She's like a human in spirit, even though she's not human. Look at her, Captain. She's turning fear into strategy." Jarek allowed himself a small nod. Humanity had always thrived in unexpected situations. Courage and ingenuity had carried them through challenges far greater than this. And now, with Leora's help, they had a chance. Meanwhile, Leora moved quickly from station to station, pointing out vulnerabilities in the Thaler approach. "They assume we will panic," she explained. "They calculate reactions based on fear. Stay calm, think logically, use the terrain, asteroid fields, debris. They are fast but rigid, we are flexible." The crew implemented her suggestions immediately. The ship darted among a sparse asteroid field, weaving through the rocks while the alien interceptors struggled to keep formation. Several of the smaller enemy ships collided with debris and were forced to retreat, unable to adjust as quickly as the humans. Captain Jerk allowed himself a moment of relief. "Impressive," he said quietly. "She's turning the tide without firing a single weapon." Leora's eyes were sharp, scanning every sensor. "It is not over. They will adapt. But every second we delay them is a victory. Every second buys us options." As the first wave of enemy ships fell back, Admiral Kress's vessel appeared on the main screen again. His voice was sharper now, edged with frustration. "You underestimate the Thaler Dominion," he said. "You will not escape. Your technology is primitive, your lives are fragile, and yet you protect a traitor, curious, bold, foolish." Jerk met the gaze of the screen, unflinching. "We are not foolish, we are human, we protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is what defines us. And that is why we will not surrender her." Leora's hands rested lightly on the console. "They expect compliance," she whispered. "They believe fear controls us, but fear does not control humans. Courage does." The crew exchanged looks, feeling the weight of those words. Courage was not absence of fear. It was acting despite fear. And the humans of the Orion's Reach had courage in abundance. Hours passed as the alien fleet continued their maneuvers, circling the ship like predators. Leora remained a constant presence, guiding, advising, and planning. Every time the enemy attempted a new tactic, she anticipated it, directing the crew to counter with clever maneuvers. "You will not catch us in a trap," she said. "They are trying to hurt us. Do not be hurted. Break the pattern, think like them, then do the opposite. Predict their expectation and surprise them." The human pilots executed her instructions flawlessly. One by one, the interceptors began to retreat, frustrated by the humans' unpredictable maneuvers. It was not firepower that defeated them. It was intelligence, coordination, and resolve. Even Captain Jerk could not suppress a smile. Humanity had always been underestimated in the galaxy, often counted out due to relatively small fleets or limited technology. But time and time again, humans had proven that courage, quick thinking, and unity could overcome far greater forces. By evening, the alien fleet had slowed its approach. Kress's voice came over the comms once more, lower now, tinged with caution. "You survived today. But this is not over. The Thaler Dominion does not forget those who defy us. She will be returned one way or another." Leora's hands rested on the console, face calm. "Let them try," she said softly. "We will be ready." Jerk turned to her, admiration in his eyes. "You've taught us something important today. Strategy, yes, but more than that. You've shown us courage, planning, and the power of choice. That is what humans excel at. That is what we fight for." Leora looked at him, a small smile forming. "Then I am glad I chose to trust you. And I am glad I am learning from humans. Perhaps this is the first time I have felt hope in years." As the night cycle ended aboard the Orion's Reach, the stars outside reflected in the viewport like countless eyes watching. The alien fleet still lingered at the edges of sensor range, silent but vigilant. Inside, the crew was exhausted but unbroken. They had defended a life without firing a single shot in anger, using intelligence and principle to turn a dangerous situation into a victory. "Doctor." Melly approached Leora, placing a hand lightly on her shoulder. "You were incredible today," she said. "I don't know many humans who could have done this alone, and yet we did it together. You showed us that courage is stronger than fear." Leora's eyes glistened. "I only survived because you let me make choices," she said. "Not because you protected me blindly, but because you trusted me to act with you. That is something my people never allowed." Captain Jerk nodded. "Then we continue. We protect those who ask for freedom. We act with courage and intelligence, and together we face whatever comes next." Outside, the alien fleet watched silently, their ships reflecting the starlight. They did not yet understand the power of compassion, of principle, or of unity. But the humans aboard the Orion's Reach were about to teach them. Leora glanced at her armor, lying neatly folded in the med bay. She would not need it, not while humans stood beside her. The stars outside continued their silent watch. And inside the ship, humanity had proven once again that strength came not from weapons or fear, but from courage, unity, and the unwavering protection of freedom. The Orion's Reach floated in the darkness of space, the distant stars scattered like diamonds across a black velvet. Sky. Inside, the atmosphere was tense but purposeful. The alien fleet had retreated for now, yet their presence lingered, a silent threat on the edge of sensors. Captain Jerk paced the bridge, hands clasped behind his back. His crew worked tirelessly, running diagnostics, checking shields, and reviewing every strategy they could implement if the Thaler Dominion returned. They had survived the first confrontation, not through brute force, but through intelligence, courage, and the careful guidance of Leora, the alien who had chosen to trust them. Leora sat near the tactical console, studying the star maps. Her pale blue skin reflected the glow of the monitors, and her silver markings glimmered faintly. "They are powerful," she said softly. "They could strike again at any moment, and when they do, they will not hold back." Jerk nodded. "We know. But we also know they do not expect humans to act the way we have. They expect fear, submission, and compliance. We have already shown them something different." Dr. Melly stepped forward, holding a tablet that displayed incoming communications. "Captain, there's a signal from another system nearby. Other species, they've received fragments of the broadcast we sent during the encounter. It seems the story of our defense is spreading." Leora's eyes widened. "Spreading?" she asked. "You broadcast our situation." Jerk smiled faintly. "Yes, we shared what happened, not names, not exact locations, but the fact that someone was being hunted for seeking freedom and that humans protected them. Other species are taking notice." Leora leaned forward, intrigued. They are listening. This could change everything. My people, the Thaler Dominion, they rely on fear. They rely on control. If others see this, it might weaken them politically." "Exactly," Jerk said. "And that is the point. We do not have to fight with weapons to win. Knowledge, truth, and courage, these are our strongest tools." Meanwhile, the crew worked to strengthen their position. Engineers reinforced the ship's shields and optimized power distribution, ensuring that every system could react instantly. Pilots practiced evasive maneuvers within simulated asteroid fields, preparing for the next confrontation. Leora guided each step. "Their fastest ships cannot adjust as quickly in a dense field," she explained. "If they return, we will use terrain to our advantage. But more importantly, we must be unpredictable. Humans act in ways they do not anticipate. That is our edge." Ensign Lyra nodded. "We've already surprised them once. With her guidance, we can do it again, and maybe we can avoid direct conflict entirely." Jerk smiled at Lyra's optimism. "That is what makes humans remarkable. We adapt, we learn, and we protect those who cannot protect themselves. This is not weakness, it is strength." Days passed in tense vigilance. Leora shared more knowledge about the Thaler Dominion, their hierarchies, their cultural weaknesses, and their political strategies. Humans absorbed it all, not as students but as collaborators. Each new piece of information allowed them to anticipate movements, prepare defenses, and more importantly, avoid unnecessary battles. "They expect compliance because that is all they know," Leora said one evening, her gaze on the main screen. "They do not understand principle. They do not understand choice. They assume fear controls all decisions." Captain Jerk nodded. "Then we teach them something new, that freedom and principle can be stronger than fear." Dr. Melly smiled faintly. "It is not a lesson they will forget. And it is one they cannot ignore." Soon the alien fleet appeared again, but this time their movements were slower, more cautious. They scanned the area hesitant. Something had changed. The Thaler Dominion was beginning to realize that humans were not like other species they had encountered. That humans could act with courage, intelligence, and compassion, rather than domination and submission. Admiral Kress's voice came over the comms, now tinged with caution. "You have survived longer than expected, but do not mistake this for weakness. Surrender the fugitive and this will end peacefully. Resist and the consequences will be severe." Leora stood tall, unafraid. "I am not a fugitive, I am free. And I choose to stay among those who respect freedom. You cannot change that, no matter your threats." Jerk's voice followed hers, calm but firm. "Humans do not yield to threats. We act with principle and we protect those who ask for freedom. That is what we will continue to do." Rather than escalate with weapons, Jerk made a decision. "Lyra, broadcast another message," he said. "Tell the galaxy what is happening. Share the truth about my crew's actions. Let other species witness the principle behind our strength." Lyra nodded and typed quickly. Within moments, the Orions Reach transmitted a secure, encrypted broadcast to neighboring star systems. The message described the encounter, the choice to protect life over fear, and the courage displayed by both humans and the alien who sought refuge. Leora watched the screen, astonished. You are showing them the power of choice, she whispered. Not weapons, not intimidation, but truth. This could change everything. The broadcast rippled through the galaxy faster than anyone could anticipate. Messages from distant systems began to return, expressing admiration, curiosity, and solidarity. The Thalar Dominion's control over its allies began to waver. Many species who had previously complied with their rules now questioned their authority. Captain Jerk allowed himself a rare smile. "It is not always about firepower," he said. "Sometimes strength is showing the universe what is right." Leora's eyes shone with a mix of awe and relief. "I never thought I would see a species act this way," she admitted. "Back home, fear is the only law, but here, choice matters, life matters, Doctor." Melly placed a hand on Leora's shoulder. "And you are part of that. Your trust in us allowed it. Without you, this would not have been possible." Leora nodded. "Then I will stay, not because I am safe, but because I have purpose. Because I can help others who cannot speak for themselves." Days turned into weeks as the humans continued to protect Leora while the galaxy responded to their broadcast. Ships from other species began offering assistance, not with weapons, but with support, supplies, and information. The humans' courage and moral strength inspired others. The Thalar Dominion, meanwhile, could only observe, unable to act decisively without revealing weakness. They had underestimated humans, counted on fear to dictate behavior, but had found themselves facing something they could not understand: principled courage. One evening, as the crew gathered in the mess hall, Jerk addressed them. "We have survived threats greater than ourselves, not through power alone, but through courage, intelligence, and unity. Every choice we made was guided by principle. That is what defines humanity. That is what makes us strong." Leora, seated nearby, looked at each human around her. "I have learned more in these weeks than in all my years with my own people. Courage, wisdom, and compassion. These are your true weapons, not your ships, not your guns, but your choices." Ensign Lyra smiled. "And we've learned from you too. You've reminded us that freedom is worth protecting, even when the cost is unknown." Dr. Melly raised a glass. "To choice, to courage, and to humanity." The crew echoed her sentiment, a quiet celebration of victory, not over enemies, but over fear, doubt, and oppression. The stars outside the Orion's reach continued to shine. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Thalar Dominion's fleet lingered, frustrated and cautious. Their hunters had learned that the humans of this ship were not ordinary. They would not surrender. They would not obey threats. And they had taught the galaxy that principle could outweigh power and courage could inspire change. Leora glanced at her discarded armor, neatly stored in the med bay. She would not need it, not while humans stood beside her, not while they acted with courage, choice, and moral strength. For the first time in her life, she felt truly free. And she knew that humanity, flawed, determined, and brave, was a force that even the greatest empire could not ignore. The Orion's reach glided silently onward, carrying not just life, but hope, freedom, and the unshakable strength of principle. And somewhere in the vast darkness, the stars watched silently as a new chapter began, one where courage, truth, and choice became the most powerful weapons of all. The Orion's reach sailed smoothly through the calm darkness of space. For the first time in weeks, a sense of quiet relief filled the ship. The immediate threat of the Thalar Dominion had receded, though the alien fleet still lingered at the edges of sensor range, watching silently. Yet inside, the humans and Leora knew that they had survived more than a battle. They had survived fear itself. Leora walked through the med bay, her bare shoulders and the markings of her culture fully visible. She glanced at the neatly folded armor, stored away like a relic of a past she no longer needed. The armor had protected her body, but now she understood that true protection came not from metal or shields, but from choice, courage, and trust. Dr. Melly approached, smiling gently. "You've grown stronger than any armor could make you," she said. "And the humans you trusted, we've grown stronger with you." Leora nodded slowly. "I never imagined a species like yours could care so deeply. My people, they fear weakness. They do not understand compassion. But you show that strength and kindness can coexist." Captain Jerk stepped into the med bay, eyes bright with pride. "Leora, the galaxy has witnessed what we did here. Not weapons, not violence, but truth, courage, and principle. That is humanity's greatest strength." Leora's gaze drifted toward the viewport where stars stretched endlessly. "I have a choice now," she said softly. To return to my people or to stay among humans to learn, to grow, and to help others who cannot protect themselves. Jerk smiled, placing a hand lightly on her shoulder. The choice is yours, and whatever you choose, we will support you. That is the essence of freedom. Her pale blue eyes reflected determination. Then I will stay, she said firmly. Not as a refugee, but as someone who can make a difference. Someone who can help prevent what my people once caused, using knowledge and guidance rather than fear. Dr. Melly and Lyra exchanged glances, both smiling. The choice had been made, but it was not just a survival choice. It was a choice of purpose. The human crew prepared for a new mission. Leora shared her knowledge of Thaler tactics and culture, advising them on how to help other systems resist oppression peacefully. Together, they drafted plans not for war, but for prevention and protection, using information and diplomacy rather than firepower. This is what makes humans exceptional, Leora said. You do not need to destroy to protect. You do not need to enslave to lead. You act with principle, Jerk nodded. That is why humanity endures. We act with courage, compassion, and integrity. That is why we inspire hope. The crew worked late into the night cycles, reviewing sensor readings, star maps, and potential missions. Leora moved among them, teaching, guiding, and learning. Despite the risks, there was laughter, quiet discussions, and a sense of purpose that filled the ship. One day, a small Thaler scouting vessel appeared on sensors, attempting to probe the human ship. Leora recognized it immediately. They are testing us, she said. They think they can intimidate, but they underestimate the strength of humans and the principle of freedom. Jerk spoke over the comms, calm but firm. We do not attack, we do not threaten. But we will not surrender. You are welcome to observe, but you will not interfere. That is our stance. The scout hesitated, scanning, then withdrew slowly. Humanity had shown that strength was not only in weapons or numbers, but in unwavering principle and moral courage. Leora watched the retreating vessel. They will return, she said, but they now know that fear will not control us. That is a victory in itself. As weeks turned into months, the story of the Orion's reach and its crew spread across multiple systems. Reports arrived from distant colonies, describing humans protecting those in need, showing courage against overwhelming threats, and teaching others the value of freedom and choice. Leora observed these reports, her heart swelling with hope. The galaxy is changing, she said softly, not because of war, but because of example, because of courage, because of humans. Jerk placed a hand on her shoulder once more. And you are part of that change. You trusted us, and together we showed what strength truly is. Not domination, but protection, not fear, but courage. Leora looked at the folded armor one last time. It had served its purpose, but it was no longer needed. The real shield was trust, principle, and unity. She turned away, ready to embrace a life where freedom and choice were her true armor. One day, the crew gathered in the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, planets and moons visible in their silent orbits. Leora stepped forward, addressing the humans who had risked everything to protect her. I have learned more than I ever imagined, she said. I have learned that courage is not absence of fear, but action despite fear. That strength is not domination, but protection. That freedom is not given, it is earned, defended, and shared. And I have learned that humanity embodies all of these qualities. Captain Jerk's eyes shone. And you embody courage and resilience as well. Together, we have done what few could imagine. We protected life, inspired hope, and showed the galaxy the power of principle. The crew listened in quiet awe. Leora's words were more than reflection. They were a lesson for all of them and for the universe beyond. Later, in the quiet of the med bay, Leora began teaching a group of young cadets who had joined the ship to learn about human principles and ethics. She shared her knowledge of Thaler culture, but also emphasized moral courage, decision-making, and the importance of protecting freedom. You do not need to fight every battle with weapons, she told them. Sometimes the greatest victories are won with knowledge, principle, and unity. That is what humans taught me. That is what I will carry forward. The cadets listened, inspired. Humanity's values, courage, choice, compassion were being passed on to the next generation. And with Leora's guidance, the lessons extended across species lines, creating hope in places where oppression had once ruled. The Thaler Dominion fleet never returned in full force. They watched from afar, realizing that fear no longer controlled the humans of the Orion's reach. Their threats had lost their power. Other systems began to resist quietly, inspired by the example of courage, principle, and protection that humanity had demonstrated. Leora stood near the viewport, watching the stars glitter. She felt true freedom for the first time in her life, not the freedom of hiding or running, but the freedom to choose to act and to protect others without fear. Captain Jerk approached her quietly. "No armor needed," he said with a gentle smile. "Not for you, not for us. Strength is in courage, choice, and protection. That is the greatest armor any being can wear." Leora turned to him, eyes shining with gratitude and determination. "Then I am ready, ready to help, ready to teach, and ready to protect. Not with weapons, but with knowledge, courage, and choice." As the Orion's reach continued its journey through the galaxy, humanity's example spread quietly but powerfully. Stories of the alien who trusted humans and the humans who protected her traveled from star system to star system. They were stories not of war, but of courage, not of fear, but of principle, not of domination, but of freedom. Leora looked at the crew around her, humans who had chosen to act with integrity, compassion, and bravery, and felt a profound sense of belonging. She had come to them armored, scared, and hunted, but she remained with them free, unarmed, and stronger than ever. The stars continued their silent watch over the galaxy, witnessing the birth of a new era, one in which principle outweighed power, courage inspired action, and humanity showed that protecting freedom was the ultimate strength. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the Thaler Dominion fleet watched, uncertain and cautious. For the first time, they understood a truth they had never faced before. Strength does not always come from weapons, and fear does not always control others. Leora turned once more to the stars, feeling light and unburdened. The armor was behind her, humanity was beside her, freedom was within her, and with that she smiled. For the first time in her life, she was truly home.